Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. The Senate Majority Leader, Chuck Schumer, there he is. What's up, Chuck? Has a secret plan, a secret agenda, a secret plot to get the Build Back Better agenda passed. Welcome to our channel, everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. Right here is a little bit of information about me, so you know who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. And the reason this plot from Chuck Schumer is very important is because the next plan, the Build Back Better agenda, the infrastructure plan, is likely to be even bigger, even bolder than the American Rescue Plan. In fact, new reporting has emerged suggesting that President Biden is going to go even bolder and is going to push even harder for increased taxes. The original plan was $1 trillion in increased taxation, but the new plan is projected to include as much as $3 trillion in increased taxation. It's most likely going to include higher taxes on rich corporations, on companies, on individuals making $400,000 a year. So it's very clear that this is a major and a bold agenda from President Biden, and Chuck Schumer, as the Senate Majority Leader, is doing everything he can to essentially build the groundwork, to essentially have it all mapped out so that the Build Back Better agenda can seamlessly pass the Senate and go to the President's desk for signature, just like the American Rescue Plan. Let's start with the headline of this article on your screen from CNN. Schumer is using the budget tool twice to pass Biden's two-part infrastructure plan. We're expected to get more news about the infrastructure plan very shortly, and I will break it down for you on our channel, but it's very clear that Chuck Schumer wants to continue to use budget reconciliation, the same process that was used to pass the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, and use that to pass the Build Back Better agenda. So under normal circumstances, most lawmakers, senators can only use the budget reconciliation process once, but according to this reporting by CNN, Democratic leaders believe they can use a specific provision in the Congressional Budget Act that would allow them to offer a concurrent resolution and therefore allow them another chance at reconciliation. That move would make Republicans very, very upset, because Republicans have already criticized Democrats for using reconciliation to pass the $1.9 trillion stimulus plan. Now, no final decisions have been made yet, but we can expect an announcement very shortly. So Democrats are planning to cut the cost of prescription drugs. They're planning to raise the corporate tax rate, which is currently at 21%. They have a lot of plans. They are also planning on raising income taxes on individuals making more than a certain amount per year. The last time we checked, that amount was projected to be $400,000, but we can expect a specific number very soon. Here's another headline on your screen, this time from Fox News. Schumer plots new way to bypass Republicans in President Biden's third economic spending bill. Schumer aides believe they have legal authority to use reconciliation a third time this year, folks. So the original plan was, hey, maybe we can only do it once. But now what they're going to do is they're going to take the second plan, split it up into two parts. Okay, this is important. Split it up into two parts and push that as a concurrent resolution. In other words, essentially think of it as them taking the first plan, then taking the second plan and splitting it up into essentially what is Plan 2A and Plan 2B, and trying to pass Plan 2A and Plan 2B in the same year, in other words, in 2021. In that way, they'll end up getting not one, but a total of three plans passed. And remember, this second plan is going to include not only the infrastructure plan, but it's going to include even more stimulus, specifically stimulus to help individuals afford healthcare, and stimulus that can help parents of children. So folks, if we thought the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan was ambitious, it was in a sense a rescue plan. Their recovery plan is intended to be bigger, broader, and even more ambitious, and Chuck Schumer is already plotting to try and work with the Senate parliamentarian to pass Plan 2A and Plan 2B, which would effectively be the second half of the rescue package, as well as the recovery package, which is the Build Back Better agenda, which is the infrastructure plan. President Biden is trying to get both of these things done with Chuck Schumer's help, who's already plotting to pass Plan 2A and Plan 2B in the Senate, again using the process of budget reconciliation. Here's an interesting quote from the Fox News article. Section 304 of the Congressional Budget Act could give them the power to pass legislation under reconciliation for a third time this year, even though the process is only technically allowed to be used once per fiscal year. And there's language that specifically says the two houses may adopt a concurrent resolution on the budget which revises or reaffirms the concurrent resolution on the budget for such fiscal year most recently agreed to. In other words, through some pretty interesting maneuvering, they're going to try and get even more stuff done through budget reconciliation, specifically the Build Back Better agenda, which is projected to be a massive infrastructure plan designed to modernize our roads, our bridges, speed of broadband internet, rural internet, our schools, our airports, our railroads. So overall, it's intended to be a very ambitious plan. Now we can expect an announcement from President Biden anytime now, but Fox News is reporting that it is widely expected to include a slew of tax hikes, including raising the corporate tax rate from 21% where it is now to 28%, increasing the income tax rate on individuals earning more than $400,000, expanding the estate tax, which essentially allows rich people to leave their assets, specifically their real estate, to their beneficiaries upon their passing, and the beneficiaries don't have to pay income tax on an estate up to $11 million per beneficiary, which is a pretty interesting way to pass on wealth and not having to pay income taxes on passing on wealth, which is a legal loophole, which is part of the law that rich people use to be able to pass on wealth. Creating the other things that are expected to be in President Biden's proposal, creating a higher capital gains tax rate for individuals who earn at least $1 million annually, and paring back tax preferences for so-called pass-through businesses. Let's say you have one individual who sets up a corporation in an effort to avoid income taxes. Those are the kind of loopholes that the Democrats are going to try and target and close in an attempt to pay for this massive infrastructure plan. Now, one person who's not happy is Chuck Schumer's best friend in the whole wide world, the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. And so the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said that raising the corporate tax rate would make the United States a less attractive place to invest profits and locate corporate headquarters. He's concerned that if the corporate tax rates go up, then companies might start relocating to other countries because they can get their work done from other countries. And this would not only reduce income for the US government, because if they do business in the US, they pay the US government taxes, but this would also take away jobs and create potentially more unemployment. So this is a catch-22 situation as far as the Biden administration is concerned. You can be sure that the Republicans will oppose any tax increase, but then the question arises, how are we going to pay for the federal deficit? And speaking of best friends, one of the best friends of President Biden is the other Joe, the tale of two Joes. They get together and they have a cup of Joe. I just came up with that. That doesn't mean anything. The conservative Democrat, the conservative senator from West Virginia, Joe Manchin. Here's a headline on your screen from Fox, where Joe Manchin basically said, I'm not going to vote for infrastructure if the Republicans are not included. So if the Democrats go ahead with the ploy from the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and try and use reconciliation again, Joe Manchin, again, let's show you the headline on your screen. Joe Manchin pledges to block Biden infrastructure bill if Republicans aren't included. Manchin said he will not pass Biden's next the legislative proposal, the Build Back Better agenda, using the process of reconciliation because he wants bipartisanship. He wants support and cooperation with the Republicans. Here's what Joe Manchin told Axios: I'm not going to do it through reconciliation. I'm not going to get on a bill that cuts them out completely before we start. Well, it's already happened once, and Joe Manchin has made it clear he's not going to support a bill like that a second time. And this does create new headaches for President Biden because the Democrats need every single vote they can get in the United States Senate. Otherwise, they will not get to a simple majority. They need to get to 51 votes, and that includes the support of Joe Manchin, the conservative Democrat from West Virginia. That includes the support of Senator Kristen Sinema from Arizona. That includes the support of Angus King, who's the independent from Maine. So they cannot afford to lose either one of these three individuals who have expressed reservations about using reconciliation over and over again. So this is going to get rather tricky for the Biden administration. And one final headline on your screen from Fox: Biden to push another recovery package on top of the $1.9 trillion package, according to Jen Psaki, and that is expected to be announced shortly. So folks, that's where things stand. Let me know what you think in the comment section below about the plot from Chuck Schumer to try and line things up so that this package passes. I appreciate you watching. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. I appreciate you watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.